please hit that subscribe button. Hey everybody, better suited to win the Stanley Cup this season. If you are new to the channel, Washington Capitals, the Boston Bruins.
Locked on and he scored! And we're live. Hey everybody. So while most of the recent news in the NHL is involving the 24 teams whose seasons will continue when hockey returns to play, that means that the offseason has started for the 7 teams that will not be returning to play when the NHL comes back. And those teams are already starting to make decisions, one of them being the Buffalo Sabres, who have now announced that Jason Botterill will return for a 4th season as general manager of the Buffalo Sabres. My initial reaction to that is I'm not surprised, given the way things have gone, the fact that Buffalo's been a complete mess for basically the past decade. But on the other hand, I am asking myself why. Why are they bringing back Jason Botterill? What has he done to make make anyone think that he can turn this team around, or that he can should be the one making the decisions going forward for the Buffalo Sabres? There's a lot to get into with this. Before I fully start, I just ask that you please hit that subscribe button if you're new, and give this video a thumbs up if you haven't already. That helps out a lot and is very much appreciated. But let's look at it here. Jason Botterill, who's now been the general manager of the Buffalo Sabres for 3 seasons. Next year will be his 4th. And Buffalo has not made the playoffs under Botterill's tenure, during Botterill's tenure as general manager. In fact, in his 3 years, they have finished 31st in the league, 27th in the league, and 25th in the league this season. I don't know, what has he done to make this team better? What has Jason Botterill done to make this team any better, to improve this team? He is lucky he has Jack Eichel, because if Buffalo did not have Jack Eichel, they probably would have finished 30th or 31st in the league this year. I'm not surprised that he's coming back, because the Pagulas have flat out been horrible owners for the Buffalo Sabres, and that's a whole other video in itself. I'm not going to delve into that in this. This is more about Botterill. But the Pagulas are clearly much more worried about their bottom line and making money than actually winning hockey games. And Buffalo is a team that hasn't been in the playoffs in almost a decade now. 9 straight years with no playoffs for the Buffalo Sabres. Their fans deserve better than this. The Buffalo fan base is a very loyal and supportive fan base, not only to the Sabres, but to the sport of hockey in general. And, when you look at the TV ratings for out-of-market games and in the playoffs, Buffalo hasn't been in the playoffs, but the Buffalo television market is always near the top of the league in TV ratings. This is a market that loves hockey. This is a fan base that loves hockey. And they deserve so much better than what they've gotten. This team has been an absolute disaster for the past decade now. Disaster. And their rebuild has been almost as bad, if not worse, than Edmonton's. I mean, it's brutal what these fans have gone through. And now you have another general manager, another head coach, and they're not getting any better. They're not getting better. And Botterill now he's made some big moves. He's had multiple seasons to try and get this team headed in the right direction. And they were 25th in the league again this year. Is that good? Like, Sabres fans, are you satisfied with 25th in the league? Because you shouldn't be. I mean, this team's a joke. Even in the expanded 24-team format, you are not good enough to even have a chance to make the playoffs. In an expanded format, you are still not good enough to make the playoffs, or even have a chance to play in the play-in round to make the playoffs. What? Like, are you satisfied? You shouldn't be. And I mean, the reaction on Twitter from most Sabres fans was very telling of how they feel about this move, and they were just shredding this move, and they're shredding Botterill, and they're shredding the Pagulas, as they should. Jason Botterill has done nothing that I've seen in the past 3 years to make me think that he is going to even come close to turning this team around. I mean, look at Buffalo. Look at what they've done. Without, Jack Eichel has been fantastic, and he's growing into one of the best players in the entire NHL. If you take Jack Eichel away from that Sabres team, they're probably the worst team in the league. Or they're 29th, 30th at best. I mean, it's brutal, and Botterill has done nothing to make this team better. You look at the Ryan O'Reilly deal, which is his big trade, his big move. He got hardly anything in return for Ryan O'Reilly. I mean, Patrick Berglund literally quit hockey when he got to Buffalo. Berglund was a very good player, a very good, third-line player for the St. Louis Blues. Gets to Buffalo and quits hockey. Done. See you. Bye-bye, NHL. Vlad Sobotka got injured and literally hasn't been heard from since. I don't even know where Vlad Sobotka stands right now. Is he even still even with the organization? Like, he got hurt and has just never been heard from since. Tage Thompson can't even crack the NHL roster. I mean, he got basically nothing for Ryan O'Reilly. And Ryan O'Reilly has gone on to become a Stanley Cup winner, a superstar player, and a playoff MVP with the St. Louis Blues. And you couldn't get anything of value in return for him. Then you look at the Jeff Skinner contract. Jeff Skinner has one big year with Buffalo. 40-goal season, outstanding season goal-scoring wise. And they give him $9 million a year on a long-term contract. $9 million per year. And he comes out this year and scores 14 goals and 23 points. You paid Jeff Skinner $9 million for 14 goals and 23 points. I mean, that's a joke. That is a joke. Are you kidding me? And when you look at Skinner, anybody who's followed the NHL, anybody with a brain who knows hockey, knew that Jeff Skinner was not going to score 40 goals again this year. He's been an inconsistent player his entire career. Literally his entire career, Jeff Skinner has been the epitome of inconsistent. If you look at his year-by-year stats, they look like this. Year in and year out. Good season, bad season. Good season, bad season. Good season, okay season, bad season. It's literally a roller coaster. He has been inconsistent his entire career. He does not back up good seasons with another good season. He takes a step back, and then sometimes he goes forward again, and then he takes another step back. No one with a brain thought that Jeff Skinner was going to score 40 goals again. I thought he was going to drop down to the 25 to 30 range. Even I didn't think he was going to be this bad. 14? You go from 40 goals to 14, that is a joke. And now that Jeff Skinner contract is one of the worst contracts in the entire NHL. Way to go. I mean, no one in their right mind thought that was a good contract to begin with when he signed it. Never mind now after how this season has gone. I mean, it's brutal. This team still has no goaltending. Carter Hutton has been an absolute failure of a starting goaltender. They have no goaltending. Their defense they're loaded with defensemen on the roster. They're loaded with mediocre defensemen. Nobody that good. They're loaded with mediocre defense, and they have zero secondary scoring. And you look at some of the moves that Botterill's made either last offseason or during the season this year. It's like, what is the point? What is the point in bringing in a washed-up Wayne Simmons? What is the point in bringing in Michael Frolik having one of the worst seasons of his entire career from Calgary? What is the point in bringing in guys like Colin Miller to that defense core who, in the right situation, can be a solid depth player, but is not the kind of player that is going to elevate a bad team and make them any better? I look at a lot of Botterill's moves, and they seem completely pointless. He's adding mediocre players who, in the right situation and on a good team, might be good, but you're not a good team. And these aren't players who, with enough talent or who are good enough to elevate a bad team and make them better. I mean, when you look at this team offensively, they have Jack Eichel, Sam Reinhart is finally starting to show signs of being a star player and being a very good number 2 center. And you have Victor Olofsson, who looks like a legitimate goal scorer and someone who can play on the wing with Jack Eichel and put up some big-time numbers. That you have three good things going for you offensively. And other than that, what you have zero secondary scoring. I mean, awful secondary scoring. You've got a very mediocre defense full of guys who aren't that good defensively. Apparently, you think Rasmus Ristolainen is a top pair defenseman. I don't care what anyone says. Rasmus Ristolainen is not a top pair defenseman. He's not good defensively. He's a turnover machine. He's got a horrible plus minus. I mean, yeah, he's been on a terrible team his entire career, but there are massive flaws in Rasmus Ristolainen's game. If you put him on Tampa Bay and had him be the number 4 D-man and pair him up with maybe a Kevin Shattenkirk or a Ryan McDonough, I bet you could get quality minutes out of Rasmus Ristolainen. On Buffalo, where he has to be the guy, he's not that player. And the fact that Buffalo even still thinks he can be that player shows that they don't know what they're doing. And this management team doesn't know what they're doing, doesn't know hockey, doesn't know what Rasmus Ristolainen is not a top pair defenseman. Stop playing him 23 minutes a night. Oh my God. I could go on and on about Botterill, but this team has really not improved at all. They're still one of the worst teams in the league. He botched the Ryan O'Reilly deal. The Jeff Skinner contract is an absolute joke. It's literally one of the worst contracts in the league. He's added a bunch of mediocre players who do not elevate this team or make them any better. They have no secondary scoring. They have no goaltending. Buffalo's not going to be good anytime soon with the way that things are going. And he hasn't done anything to make them better. So I don't know why Jason Botterill is coming back as the GM. I'm not surprised because, again, I think Buffalo's problems start all the way at the top with ownership and just flood all the way down from ownership to management to the roster. Everything is a problem in Buffalo. And it's funny that Jason Botterill, remember after his first season when they finished dead last, and he talked about the culture of losing in Buffalo. And at that point, they obviously hadn't been a playoff team in a number of years. And there is a culture of losing now in Buffalo, particularly among the players. But Botterill called that out after his first season as GM. He's now been through 3 seasons as GM and has done absolutely nothing to change that culture of losing. They have not gotten any better. They have not gotten, any significant increase in competitiveness as far as the rest of the league goes. They still have a massive culture of losing. They've done nothing. They've basically done nothing. To me, the difference between 31st and 25th isn't really a big one. Because no matter which way you cut it, you're still not even close to the playoffs. Not even close. So he's done nothing to fix the culture of losing. And they're going to give him another year, another offseason, and he's probably going to continue to do nothing to make them better. And Buffalo's problems are across the board from the top down in every which way. And they're full of underperforming players with too big of contracts. They're full of management that has no clue what they're doing, and they have owners that really don't care if the team wins or not and are taking advantage of a very loyal and supportive fan base. If I were a Sabres fan, I would be absolutely furious. I would be, just livid at this whole situation. And I could go on and on about Botterill and the Sabres and all of it. The fact of the matter is they haven't made the playoffs in almost a decade. They haven't been anywhere close to the playoffs in recent history at all. And I have no reason to believe that Jason Botterill is the guy that can turn this around. He's already botched a number of moves. He's really done nothing to make the team much better. He's lucky he has Jack Eichel, or they would be still probably the worst team in the league. And it's not surprising, but it's very disappointing that he'll be back as GM for the Sabres. And I'm sure that most Sabres fans are probably very disappointed, as they should be. But With that, guys, like, comment, share, subscribe, follow on social media. All those links are down in the description below. If you'd like to further support the channel, links to our Patreon and merchandise store down in the description as well. Keep spreading the word about this channel. Let's keep this thing growing. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll talk to you guys soon.